Hi everyone, I'm Paul with MadCap Software. In this video, we are going to get into the main things that you do when you are working in branching, the main activities, the stuff you do every day. And hopefully you have already watched the video on Git flow and branching, because I will be referring back to that as we go through all of these steps. Also, as we work through this, you're going to see that we're going to be doing the main general source control activities that I talked about in an earlier video, polling and committing and synchronizing, pulling and pushing. And then there's also merging. So that merging will happen. Some merging happens automatically, and then merging that happens manually with conflicts I talk about in a later video. But this one, we're going to be talking about these main things that you do with branching. And so there are a handful of them, and we're just going to tackle them one at a time. Let's just get started. The first thing that you're going to be doing with branching is creating branches. Now, even if you have been using Git or Central in the past and you think I haven't been using branching, you really have, because there is one main branch called the master branch. And if you don't create any other branches, you're working in that. So you've been doing it all along. But what we want to do is create some additional branches so that we can work kind of in these different avenues. All right, so let's get into Flare and let's create some of these branches. So I have a small Flare project open called Branching Demo. It's very, very small project. And I'm going through this scenario where I've got two writers, right? And this is single bound to MadCap Central. And so it's using Git behind the scenes. You might be bound to just Git, maybe GitHub or something like that, but we're bound to Central. And if I click on this MadCap Central window pane, which you get to from here, view MadCap Central, you can see I'm logged in here. My project is already bound. And if I go into the Source Control Explorer, you can get to it from here, from the Source Control ribbon, Source Control Explorer. And I go into branches, you can see I've got one master branch in here. And that's it. Now I want to create new ones. So think back to the video that we did on Git flow. So we start out with the master branch. Well, what's the next branch that we want to create? And it's release, using that model, which is what we're doing. We're using that Git flow model. So this one is selected because it's the only one here. And I'm just going to select create branch. And so what it does is it brings up this dialog and says, okay, you're going to create a new branch. This is what it's going to be based on. So it's going to start out as a clone of that branch, the only one we have. So I'm going to name this release. And I can tell it to switch to that branch so that it makes it active. And yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. You can see that master is selected. It's shown right here, it says current, and also down in the lower right, it says master. So that's the active one. As soon as I click create, it now creates the release branch, and it made it the active one right here. And it once you click, it changes down here to release. All right, so I created that one. Now, what's beyond the release branches? Well, the release branch and the master branch, it's these feature branches. And as I mentioned before, you can create these branches, for whatever purpose you want. A lot of times it's for documenting, working on documentation for a particular feature, or it could be just some project that you have. You want to rearrange or organize your image files or something like that, and you could create a branch just for that. We're just going to create a few branches, and we're just going to name them simply feature branch 1, 2, and 3 in here. And normally you would create your feature branches based on the release branch, even though it's identical to the master branch right now, but as time goes by, it will be different. And so I'm just going to click create branch, and it's based, the source branch is released now, since that's the active one. And I'm going to call this feature 1. Now, in the real world, what I normally do is I will name mine. I have my project, my big project I have documentation about all the MadCap products. So there's Flare, Lingo, Central, Capture, all these things. And what I do is I'll usually, let's say I was writing about Lingo, I would type Lingo / and then like term base. That's a name of a feature. And so what that does is it helps keep it organized into those groups. And when I use another tool like Visual Studio, it actually puts them into these subfolders. But we're going to keep it really simple for this video and just call it feature 1. And do I want to switch to the branch? No, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to create the new branch because I'm going to create an additional one based on the release branch. And I am going to call that one feature 2. All right. Click create. And there I have it. I've got 3 new branches that I have created. Now they're listed here in this window pane under unpublished branches. And we're going to get to that coming up next, actually, in the next section of this video. But for now, we just created them. They exist locally. And this is just this one writer. Let's say that you have other writers on your team. Well, let me just actually switch over to another writer here. This one, same project, but this is a different writer. And if I go into MadCap Central, you can see, okay, this is Jeff Lebowski. He's logged in. He's got his copy of the project. And if we go, let's go find that Source Control Explorer and open that thing up. There it is. And go to branches. And you can see he's only got master in here because nothing has been synced yet. Those branches that were created, that I created just now, those are just local. I only have those on my computer. Well, Jeff doesn't have those yet, but Jeff decides I want to create a branch as well. And I'm kind of going to skip through, forward a little bit. Normally by this time, Jeff would have that release branch, the same one, and he would base it on that. But just to keep things, simple and move it along, I'm going to create a branch based on the master branch, which at this time is the same as all the other ones. We haven't done anything with any of them anyway. So I'm going to call this one feature 3. All right. Create that, and that adds it here for Jeff under unpublished branches, feature 3. Okay. So we have our branches. We've created them. But the next thing we need to do is get them up to the remote location. In our case, it's MadCap Central. We want to get it there so that you're using source control, and you've got files both locally and remotely, and different writers can get the same branches and work on the same things. So that's what we're going to cover in the next section, is publishing branches. So we got some new branches, but we just need to get them up on the remote location. This step is called publishing branches. So let's just go do that. It's gonna be real fast. Okay, so we're back in my project. These are the branches that I created. So you can probably guess what's going to happen here. I'm just going to click one of these at a time. Click release first. Doesn't really matter the order. And I'm going to publish this. And that's really the same thing as just pushing it, but you're pushing the whole branch. So I'm going to click publish. Where do I want to send it? Well, of course, I'm only single bound to MadCap Central. Click OK, and it moves it up there. It's just going to go through the motions here, and it should just take a moment. There it goes. So it moves from this unpublished branches up to published branches. And then I just repeat the steps for feature 1, feature 2. And they'll all be up there. And then what we'll do after we get all these up there, and we're going to go to the other writer, Jeff Lebowski. I know he's called the dude, but for this video and the others, we'll just call him Jeff most of the time. So all of these are published. Now let's go to Jeff, and he's got feature 3 in here. All right. And there we go. we want to click publish branch, and it's going to go up to the remote as well. All right, so his moved up there. Cool. All right, now let's go into Central, and I'm going to go back to my project. And if you're wondering, oh, how do I get to my portal? You're kind of new at this, and well, you go into that MadCap Central window pane. Again, it's View MadCap Central, and it's this little button right here. In case you don't have it bookmarked or anything on your browser, you just click that, and it will open it up right there. And this is, I just have this widget in here, which gives me shortcuts to all of my projects. I could click here, but this is just faster. Let's go into branching demo. And all these page views in here. And if I go into, I could go into, say, files or commits, and I could see my branches by clicking this drop down here. You see feature 1, 2, 3, master, release. And same thing with commits. And it actually tells me commits over here. 1, 2, 3, master, release. And I was actually messing around with stuff earlier, and so it actually already has a commit history, but I was just starting over. And so you can see, you got all these things in here, even though only one writer has release feature 1 and feature 2, and the other writer has feature 3, and they both have master. But we're going to cross that bridge soon. So that is it. That's how you publish the branches, get them up remotely. And next we are going to get into Flare, and we're going to look at switching from one branch to another, and actually adding some content and doing normal source control stuff. All right, those first two sections were actually pretty quick. Those are things that you do once in a while, but they are regular, main branching activities. But this section that we're going to talk about now, this is where you're really going to spend most of your time, switching from one branch to the other, and adding, just modifying content, adding content, and synchronizing. So let's go in and let's see both authors doing this. So I am in my project, the first writer, and I have the release branch is active right now. And I know this because if I go into the Source Control Explorer, I look and see current release, and in the lower right, it says release here. So you can switch to branches in different ways. And one way that you can do it is from here in the Source Control Explorer. You can, let's switch to the feature 1 branch. So I could click there, and I could just click this, select branch. And it changes it up here, and it changes it down in the lower right. Now, I can also use this thing in the lower right, which I usually use because I don't always have my Source Control Explorer in view, but this thing in my status bar is always here. So I could switch to feature 2, just like that. Changes there, changes there. Let's go back to feature 1. And what we want to do now, so we're in a completely different branch. And what I want to do is I'm going to add a folder in here and some topics that are devoted to feature 1, whatever that is. And so that is the purpose of this branch, is to work on those things. So I'm going to create that real quickly here. Okay, so there's my new folder. I just named it B, feature 1 topics. You don't have to put a B or anything like that in front of there. I just did that to keep the order so that introduction comes first. And then I created 4 topics under it, feature 1 topics, sort of like the main topic in there, and then topic A, topic D, topic B, topic C. Now that I've done that, I need to commit these changes, and I need to synchronize it so that this gets up on the remote location. Now, if you recall back in the video I did on the main source control activities, it started out with pull, commit, and then synchronize, pull and push, synchronize. So I didn't do a poll here because this is all just brand new, but it is a really good habit to get into when you first go in, open up Flare, open up a project, is to do a poll. And actually, in the last video in this series, when I talk about tips and tricks and best practices, got something to show you so that it just kind of reminds you to do that. But so I didn't do a poll, but I'm going to do a commit, and you can see my number down here next to this button 4, because I made changes to, I have 4 new files. And so I'm just going to add a comment in here. Added feature 1 topics. All right, that'll do it for now. Commit this, and this will change down here the number to 1 because I have 1 commit now, and I'm going to synchronize this. And so it is going to do a poll. So, which is really nice, just in case I didn't do one or somebody was making changes while I was working. It does a poll, and then it does a push, and it's good. All right, so those things are up on Central. In fact, we can go into Central, and sometimes you have to refresh in here. But let's see if I go to feature 1 and open up content. There they are. There's all the topics that I just added. If I were to change back to release or one of these others, you're not going to see those topics in there. So really cool. You can see right away. All right, going back into my project, I'm going to do the same thing with some feature 2 topics. So I'll add those real quickly here. But actually, I just caught myself. I don't want to add the feature 2 topics in here because this is the feature 1 branch. So I want to switch branches. And so I'm just going to come down here and switch, select to feature 2. I don't see any of the feature 1 stuff in here. I shouldn't. We're keeping these things separate. And I'm going to do the same thing here as I did in the feature 1 branch, only I'm adding feature 2 topics. Okay, so that folder, see feature 2 topics, and these 4 topics have been added. Same thing as the other one. I've got to do my commit on these 4 files. And so added new feature 2 topics. Okay. And so click commit. And you don't always have to wait for the numbers down here. If you know that you just did something, you don't have to wait for it to change. As I mentioned before, sometimes just clicking in there will help spur it on. And so there's the 1 right there. But I knew that I could just immediately go down there and click that thing. So I'm going to synchronize this. And it's going to go through its pull push action here. And there is nothing on feature 2 to pull down. So it's just going to move through that, and it's going to push my new changes, my folder and my new files up there. All right. So that does it for that one. Now let's switch over to the other writer, and let's do the same kind of stuff for the feature 3 branch. So Jeff Lebowski here, the dude, has feature 3 branch, and let's select it here and switch to it. It's changed there, it's changed down there. Go to the Content Explorer. Once again, I'm going to add this folder and these files real quick here. And there we go. Feature 3 topics, feature 3 and 3 topics here, and these 3, G, H, and I. Same thing. Let's commit this. Added new feature 3 topics. Okay. I'm going to commit this thing and just go down here and click this so that we are synchronizing it. And now, once this finishes, you'd be able to go up onto Central, and you can see switch from one branch to the other, and you see the topics that are unique to each of those branches. So we created and we published our branches, and now not immediately, but pretty quickly, we already have content that's different on these different branches, which is the whole purpose here. So that is going to do it for switching branches and doing content. Again, this is adding content. This is the stuff that you're going to be doing all the time, going from one to the other, just making your changes and syncing. Something else that is common that you're going to have to do with branches from time to time is getting them from the remote location, or you can call it checking them out or just retrieving them. The idea is there's a branch that exists up on the remote repository. You don't have it locally, but you want to get it so you can work on it. So if you remember just the stuff that I was showed in the previous sections, Jeff Lebowski, the second writer, only has the master branch and the feature 3 branch that he created, but he wants to also get the release branch. He should have that too. And maybe he also wants to get the feature 1 branch that I created. And so he's going to do this by getting those branches from the remote location. So we're in Jeff's copy of the project. Again, go to the Source Control Explorer, and those are the only 2 things he has. Now, the first thing that you want to do is, of course, do a pull. And yeah, that's good to do anyway. But one of the things that this does is it is going to help populate the remote, all the remote branches in this dialog that I'm going to show you, which is the branch management dialog. And you can get there from the source control ribbon. Click on this branch button, not the drop down part, but up here. There's the branch management dialog. You can also get to it by clicking the name of the branch down in the lower right in the status bar, brings it up. So what I was talking about populating is this remotes tab. You got locals tab and a remotes tab. Locals tab, this is just showing what Jeff has. He only has feature 3 and master. Remotes shows everything that's up on the remote. And the reason I first did that poll is so that this would populate completely, because maybe between the time that I was doing things, some other writer might have created other remote branches, and I just want to have access to all of them in here. So now that Jeff's done that, he's done a poll, all he needs to do is come in here and go, okay, what branches do I want? Well, I want release. So let's select that in the remotes tab, click switch, and it will switch to that branch. You'll see it right there in the lower right. You'll see it right here in the Source Control Explorer, and you come over here to locals, and there it is. And then he also wants feature 1, so let's do that as well. Switches it down here, up here, and he's got it on the local. So just click close. And now if we go back over here, sometimes you have to refresh in order to see everything. And so I just click that, and now I see all of these things that he has. Feature 1, feature 3, master, release, and so he can switch to any of those and work on them as he needs. All right, so now think back to that Git flow model that we talked about in the previous video and how that worked. You started out with your master branch, and then you had release next to that, then you had your feature branches, and we've already created those and we've added unique content to them. But at some point, you want to merge branches. And what you're doing is you're merging from the feature branches into release as those things are ready. And then from the release branch into the master branch when you're ready to do your publishing. That is according to the Git flow plan, the Git flow model. So what we have here is these 3 feature branches. Let's say that we're getting ready to just finish the feature 1 topics, even though you've seen I've just begun them. There's not much in there at all. But let's say that we're going to do that. Each of the writers is going to make a change in the feature 1 branch. And what we're going to do is make sure everybody's synced, and then one writer will merge that into the release branch. Let's go and do that. Okay, so first writer, me, right here. First thing is, what branch am I on? I can see down here, I'm on the feature 2 branch. I'm going to switch to the feature 1 branch. Okay, and I'm also going to close. I got a lot of stuff open. I'm just going to close all that and go in here and see, all right, there's my feature one topics. I'm going to go into this first one right here, and I'm just going to add change from Paul. Okay, just so that we have some content in here. And actually, so I'm going through this a little bit too fast. Let me just back up here, undo these changes, because I do want to make the point of when you first, I'm going to close that and not save it. So here I am back at the beginning. You want to get in the habit when you first open up your project, as I've said, to do a poll. Okay, so I just want to show you that. First thing, let's poll. And this is the feature one branch. And actually, it's not letting me, it wants me to do a commit because it actually recorded that. I'm just going to do test in there. So just pretend that I did things normally. We'll go in here and we'll actually do it. Just want to get past this. So, and all files are up to date. Yes, I know. So first thing is you open up your project. What's the first thing you do? You do a poll. And again, I've got that tip later on where I'll give you a hint about, or tell you about an option that helps you with this. Now, you're not necessarily going to be polling, like every 10 seconds. That would be ridiculous, but it's just a good habit to poll immediately. And then later on, after you've made some changes and you do a commit, then you're going to do your sync, which is a poll push. But this is just to help limit the possible issues that you could have. All right, so I'm polling this, and it's not going to find anything up there right now because the other writer hasn't put anything up there. It says everything's up to date. Yes, it is. Okay. So actually it had my change in there. That's why it made me commit. And so I'm just going to type and stuff. That's great. All right. So I'm going to commit this change right here, and edit new content. All right. Going to commit this, and we'll sync it. Okay. So you're doing lots and lots of work over whatever period of time. It could be days, weeks, months that you're working in a branch. It could just be there for a while until it's just ready to go. So I'm just changing one topic in here, but you could just be changing lots and lots of them. Let's go over here to this other writer, which is Mr. Lebowski. Let's switch to our feature one branch. Okay. And let's close all of this stuff. Let's go to the Windows thing, close all that junk. Go in here. Now I made the change in this topic. He hasn't done a poll yet. So again, best thing to do a poll. All right. So he's doing that, and he'll get this new content in this topic. There it is. So there's the new stuff. He's going to go into, let's say, topic A. And let's do text from Jeff. All right. Let's save this. We're going to do a commit. Content from Jeff. Let's commit that and sync that. All right, so the work is going, it's going on. And then at some point, let's say that I'm the lead writer and Jeff is working with me, and I say, hey, we're going to, we need to wrap up feature one. And so we both work, and we've done that. We've wrapped it up. And I tell him, you got to make sure all your stuff is committed and synced, and I'll do the same. And we're going to merge this into the release branch. It's ready. It's definitely going in the next release. So he goes, okay. So he just did his stuff, and I'm going in here and I'm going to do a poll. I haven't made any further changes. I just want to get his changes, right? So it'll pull down the changes from that other topic. I'm going to go into here. It was topic A. And there is the change. Okay, so we're all synced. Now we just want to do our merge. So just one writer needs to do this. And I'm going to go into the source control, Explorer, and let's go into branches in here. So I have feature one selected, and I want to merge it into release. So I am going to switch to the release branch. There it is. Close all those things too. And I'm going to merge, click merge. And it says, please select a branch to merge into release. So just make sure you read this carefully when you're doing a merge, because you want to make sure you're merging from the right thing into the right thing. For example, I don't want to be merging from feature branches directly into the master branch, but I've got my release branch selected. So please select a branch to merge into the release branch. And I want to merge the feature one branch into the release branch. So I go, okay. And the merge was a success. All right, great. And it shows me down here, I have to do a sync, right? Because I've just done this locally, even though I merged it, feature one branch into the release branch, that's just local. And so I just need to get this pushed up to the remote location, just like anything else. And then we can go into the release branch on central and see. So here you can see, all right, the release branch has the feature one topics. And if I go up here, the release branch, now it's not showing it because I probably need to do a refresh. And there they are. There's the feature one topics. All right, so now what happens next? Think of the model again. So feature one going into the release branch. So the other thing that happens is now you want to merge from the release branch into these ongoing branches, feature two and feature three. They're ongoing. And how often do you do that? Well, it depends on your situation. If you're working by yourself or it's just a couple of people, when this release branch has been updated, but maybe you're on a bigger team and things are happening quicker. Maybe you want to establish a rule that daily people should be merging in from release into their feature branches just to keep them fresh. So you can do that too. So what we want to do, this is me, and you can see that's me. And I want to merge the release branch into feature two. Okay, so I'm going to select that branch and it's there. And I'm going to select merge. Please select a branch to merge into feature two. Well, I want to merge release into there. So I'm going to go through that. It succeeded. I've got this commit because what happened was it's merging from release into this, and that's resulting in these additional topics. So I need to do a commit. So I can just type something simple like merge from release. Okay. And now we get to synchronize. So we've got our feature two branch locally, and we just want to get this up on the remote location. It's this constant, it's just syncing things. That's what a lot of branching is. And if I go into the Content Explorer, you can see not only do I have my feature two topics, but I have feature one because those became part of that branch. So now going into Source Control Explorer, that was the only other branch that I had. So let's go to the other writer. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to merge from release into my feature three branch, but I want to make sure that I have the latest stuff for release before I do that. So I'm going to select the release branch. Okay, and I am going to I'm just going to do a poll here. And so I'm going to get any of that stuff that's up there on the remote location. All right, so now I am going to, and if I go into the Content Explorer, you can see I've got the feature 1 topics there, just making sure everything is synced. Select feature 3, let's select that branch. Okay, it's selected, and let's click merge branch. Please select a branch to merge into feature 3. I want to merge release. So click that. Merge was a success. So feature 3, if I go into the Content Explorer, not only do I see the feature 3 topics, I see feature 1 topics. And of course, I need to do my commit. I'm going to go in here and merge from release. And it's adding those new things that were part of that. And now we can sync again. This is one of those things that you do. Again, it can be a very frequent thing, or it could be a once in a while thing. It depends on how often your release branch is getting updated, and that you know that it's getting updated. All right, so those were done. So back to the model, back to the Git flow model. So we've merged feature 1 branch into release. We've merged release into the ongoing feature 2 and feature 3 branches. And now we decide, all right, feature 2 and feature 3, they're not going to get into this next release. Forget about those. It's just feature 1. We're done. We're ready to publish. We're ready to make this documentation available to whoever our audience is. So now we want to do one more merge, and that's merging the release branch into the master branch. So I'm going to go back here, and everything is up to date. What we want is to make sure that release is also up to date. And so I'm just thinking through the process here. Select release. All right, I'm just going to do a poll here. Everything should be fine, but it's always a good idea to poll. And so once this is done, now everything's up to date. Right? And so what I want to do is switch to master, right? And master, there shouldn't be anything to pull. I can pull, but remember, the master branch is one of these things that it's only when you're actually doing your publishing. And so I am going to now merge. Please select a branch to merge into master. I want to merge release into it. All right. So the merge was a success. And I've got this thing over here. Didn't add, is just this merging. And so I just have to click this to do that. And it is going to make sure that the remote master is now up to date. Okay, and so our master's checked out, and if I go to Content Explorer, you can see, yep, it's got the feature 1 topics where it didn't have it before. And I can go to this other writer, and I can go into branches, select master, and I can do a poll just to make sure that this person is in sync too. So you can see it's sort of this dance where you're constantly, polling things and making changes and committing and synchronizing back and forth. And it's that way within a branch, and then you're merging the branches. And even then you're doing all of this synchronization, but we are now pretty much up to date. We've gone through everything that we needed to do with our branches. Those are the main things. Okay, and those are the main activities for branching: creating the branches, publishing, switching back and forth, making all your changes and syncing as you do it, checking out remote branches when you need to, and merging them. Now, all of that might seem like a lot, and you're thinking, oh man, how am I ever going to remember to do this and that and that? It actually, the more you do it, like anything else, you get used to it, and it will. The more you do it, it just makes sense, and it's never a bad thing to sync. Even if you think the stuff is already synced, it's never a bad idea to do it anyway. But that's what you're going to do as you're working through branching, to keep everything up to date and to kind of move things along, merging things from one branch into the other. Now, in the next video, we're going to get into things that you may or may not be doing with branching. There are these every once in a while kind of things. So that's what's next, and I'll see you in that movie.